So approximately half of you, if you plan on living past like 65 or 70, will develop Alzheimer's disease, which will end up killing you over a period of like 5 to 10 years. The other half of you will end up becoming caregivers for the people that are diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So you're directly and indirectly affected with one disease. So I'm trying to explain that human embryonic stem cells can cure this disease along with many others. Some other diseases are Parkinson's, Huntington's, diabetes, and physical injuries like brain injuries and paralysis with like the spinal cord. Stem cell research is important to discovering the curing diseases and the way we develop as humans. I found through my research that there was one flaw in particular that was, I think, affecting our research in this field. And so my argument is that the federal government should fund the derivation of new embryonic stem cell lines versus just the research itself. So to decipher that, that is saying instead of the federal government funding only the research, I want them to actually fund the obtaining of the stem cells. So for my first main point, I want to explain to you in a little more detail the importance of stem cell research. Authors Randy Sheckman and Mahori Schultz point out in the bulletin of the Academy of Arts and Sciences that there's two main phenomena that scientists are trying to find. The first one is taking human embryonic stem cells that are in an undifferentiated state. These cells can go and become any cell in the body, brain cells, intestinal cells, skin cells. So that's one. The other one is taking these human embryonic stem cells that are in an undifferentiated state so they can become any cell in the body and keeping them in that state for a very long time for future cases that someone needs them. So one example of a disease that could help with this is diabetes that I said earlier. Diabetes is where the beta cells in the pancreas are not secreting insulin. So we could take human embryonic stem cells that are in an undifferentiated state, drive them down a cell fate to become beta cells that secrete insulin, and replace them with the patient that has beta cells that aren't secreting insulin. Another one is Parkinson's disease. It's a neurodegenerative disease in the brain. We can do the same process, but with nerve cells. So stem cell research, I think, is undeniably a very important field that we should be researching at the full front. But politically, the action taken thus far, I think, are slowing down our process. So the first point is of this part is the Hastings Center report from Arthur R. Altacharo examined the 2001 policy made from President Bush and his administration. His policy made it that federal funding could be used only for the human embryonic stem cells derived prior to his speech, but not after. So for 8 years, you could use federal funding to actually research those stem cells, but no more. But through those 8 years, states funded human embryonic stem cell derivation. So in 2009, Obama created a policy where we could use federal funding to research those new state-funded stem cell lines, but there was still no federal funding for the actual getting of human embryonic stem cells derivation. So my proposal is that we use federal funding for the human embryonic stem cell derivation. Part of the reason for this also is because scientists are finding that we can't keep these human embryonic stem cells for a very long period of time with our current technology, so we need to always be getting new stem cell lines for this reason. And while the states do fund it, I think that we need to fund it at a higher amplitude so we can get this research going at a faster pace. Finally, my last main point is kind of the ethics behind it all and deciphering what is already happening with human embryos and the potential risk for not funding human embryonic stem cell line derivation at the federal level. So the National Institutes of Health officials estimates that there are about 1.5 million induced abortions per year. About half of those, scientists say, could be used for human embryonic stem cell research, but instead are discarded. So human embryonic stem cell research, in terms of the scientists that are backing it up, are not trying to promote the politics behind abortions. scientists are just telling me that abortions do exist in many states and want to use that for their advantage of improving the well-being of all humans, especially in our country. So while some people may agree with abortions or not, scientists want to use what we do have to cure many diseases while we can. So with respect to all ideologies, beliefs, and morals, I believe that no matter what, if we federally fund the derivation of human embryonic stem cells, we can increase our rate at which we can cure these diseases and improve the well-being of humans. And one day we won't have to obtain stem cells from embryos because our technology will be so advanced that we'll be able to cultivate and grow our cultures of human embryonic stem cells instead of actually obtaining them from previous embryos. So today I explained to you why the federal government should fund the derivation of human embryonic stem cells and the faults in the past that have slowed down the process.